Honorable Speaker, sir, with your permission, I rise to beg leave to introduce the Indian Antarctica Bill 2022. Speaker, sir, this is a bill which is unique of its kind, also slightly different from the routine business. Okay, I seek the leave.
Shri Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary ji.
Sir, I rise to oppose the introduction of the Indian Antarctica Bill 2022 under Rule 72(1), not because that principally I am opposing the tone and tenor of this legislative document, but rather I found technical deficiencies, including some drafting errors inherent in this legislative document, which certainly needs to be flagged the attention of this government. Sir, we all know that the Indian Antarctic program, which began in 1981, has completed 40, now it is going to be 41 scientific expeditions and built 3 permanent research base stations in Antarctica, namely Dakshin Gangotri 1983, Moitri 1988 and Bharati 2012. We have already ratified the Antarctica Treaty and Madrid Treaty also. But here I have some issue that I thought it prudent to put before your attention for further clarification. That the bill is applicable to Indian citizens and foreign citizens. How? How can an Indian law be applicable to foreign citizen? How can you punish a foreign citizen if it commits an offence under the law? This is my first question. Second, if you see the Australian Antarctica Act or British Antarctica Act, you will find that the respective acts are applicable to foreign citizens if these foreign citizens are part of the Australian expedition to Antarctica or the British expedition to Antarctica. As the case may be, an act of this Parliament cannot have an extraterritorial approach. I would like to reiterate extraterritorial approach. We don't have our own vessel itself also. The polar research vessel, sometimes we hire in order to continue our expedition to the ice world of the, or to the ice region of the world, to the Antarctic region. Secondly, clause 4 provides no person shall enter or remain in Antarctica without written authorization of another party to protocol. Similarly, no vessel or aircraft registered in India shall enter or remain in Antarctica without written authorization of another party to the protocol. Now there are hundreds of countries who have signed the protocol. How can any person, expedition or ship get authorization from all the parties to the protocol? That is why I am simply suggesting the concerned minister that given the technical deficiencies and other draft errors, better you should send it for further examination to any select committee or joint committee.
Please.
Under Rule 72(1) of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in the House, I oppose the introduction of the Indian Antarctic Bill 2022. I do not know what authority our government has over Antarctica. Antarctica is still uncharted territory. Countries have gone there. We have set up 2 research stations, including one called Maitri. Our people are going there and some tourists are going there. Now the minister wants to prohibit Indian expedition to Antarctica without a permit. He wants to establish a committee on Antarctica governance to provide for inspection in India by an officer. एंटार्क्टिका में भी अपना ब्यूरोक्रेसी पहुंचा देंगे. For Antarctica, anything that you've done has to be done multilaterally after an agreement with several countries. What is the point of bringing an Indian Antarctica bill where Antarctica is not our territory? Sir, it is legally not tenable to have a law on an area which does not belong to us. This effort to impose Indian law in Antarctica is a wrong, not properly thought out step. I hope that the minister will desist from this, and if not, send the bill to a standing committee immediately without any discussion.
नहीं ठीक है, वो हो गया.
थोड़ा 1 मिनट बोलने दो. ये 253 पढ़ लिए सर.
आप बैठिए, आप बैठिए.
ये पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर है.
बैठिए, आप बोल चुके अपनी बात. पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर लेटर.
पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर है.
आप बैठिए तो सही. पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर क्या है तो सुनने दीजिए. बोलिए आप.
253 है सर.
ऑन रिकॉर्ड. प्लीज.
Anything in the foregoing provision of this chapter, Parliament has power to make any law for the whole or any part of the territory of India for implementing any treaty, agreement or convention with any other country or countries or any decision made at any international conference, association to other body. इसके बाद भी इस तरह की यदि बातें होती सर, तो मुझे लगता है कि ये गलत है और इसको ओवररूल करना चाहिए.
चलिए, बैठ जाइए प्लीज. नाउ लिसन द ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर प्लीज. जी, यू हैव पुट योर पॉइंट. जी प्लीज, ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर. बैठिए.
Honorable Speaker, sir, Professor Sagotta Rai is a learned person. I agree with him that Antarctica is no man's land. But if you give me 1 minute, that's precisely. It's not that India is going to make a qanun for a no territory which does not belong to India or any other country. Actually, we have a treaty called Antarctica Treaty, which was signed in 1959. It consists of 58 countries, and India too is a signatory to it. Now, India also enjoys the consultative status of these 54 countries or 54 countries. 29 enjoy that privilege, of which India is one. Now, it is, as per that treaty, mandatory and binding on all the member countries, which are 54, to have some kind of provision to prevent or to check the unlawful activity happening in the area where they have set up their research stations. Now, China has, for example, 5 research stations over there. Russia has 5. Argentina has about 8, 10, but they are small. We have 2, as Professor Sagotta Rai rightly mentioned. One is Bharati, one is Maitri. Now, at the same time, there are 2 more treaties. One is the Convention of Antarctica Marine Living Resources, of which also India is signatory, which will prohibit any marine living resources being violated in the sea area. And the third is the preservation of, the Protocol on Environment Protection for environment. Now, the question is that if in the territory occupied by the Indian Research Station, some unlawful activity happens, how to check it? Because I agree with you, it is no man's land. No, please. In the Antarctic Treaty, an answer was determined for this. It was made mandatory for all the 54 countries that whichever area is occupied by your setup, you enforce your country's law.
Yes.
And in order to honor that, this bill has been brought to seek the sanction of the Parliament. Like, for example, now secondly, there will be no bureaucrat, maybe one liaison officer to maybe a law officer, just to check that no unlawful activity in the form of somebody trying to do some mining there, somebody trying to do some marine violation there, So this is done with a very noble objective, with the consensus of all the countries. And I think in the long run, this will have a bearing on geopolitics, as Professor Sigotara is saying, ultimately who stands where. Because India cannot also keep itself aloof when every other country, including China, have enforced their law in their territory. So that's about all. We are still neutral, and this law is also has a very limited application only if some unlawful activity happens in the territory of the research station, because some law has to be there.
जी, प्रश्न यह है कि विधेयक को प्रस्तावित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य के विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। माननीय मंत्री जी, विधेयक को प्रस्तावित करें।
Speaker sir, I introduce the bill.
जी, आज केवल उन्हीं मान्य सदस्यों को शून्य प्रहर में अनुमति होगी जिनके नाम लिस्टेड हैं। उसके पश्चात बिल भी एक होना है। तो शून्य प्रहर प्रारंभ करते हैं। श्रीमती वांगा गीता विश्व